and we got the 3 points. That's what matters. We won today. We beat Nottingham Forest. We're closing on top 4. Let's go. Hey guys, good evening. Welcome back to the channel, United Red Devils 20 on YouTube. Good evening to every single one of you amazing, legendary people. Hope you all had a good Sunday evening. Hope everyone's had a great weekend, and I hope you're all looking forward to the rest of a brand new week, starting this week in April 2023 this year. First of all, do me a massive favour for me, hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. That is United Red Devils 20 on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel and the community if you are new, and share the video. Hit the tweet button, hit the retweet button, and always remember, put that notification bell on at all times to receive dedicated content right throughout the rest of 2023 on United Red Devils 20 on YouTube for more Fortnite content, Hogwarts Legacy, Kingdom Hearts 4, FIFA 23 Career Mode, the new Formula 1 game, more previews, more match reactions, and much more brand new stuff planned for the rest of this year on United Red Devils 20 on YouTube. So please subscribe to the channel and the community to get today and become part of this channel's future. Good evening to everyone, a single of you legendary people, and welcome to the reaction, the Premier League reaction between Nottingham Forest and Manchester United this evening on this Sunday evening, on Sunday the 16th of April 2023, on match day 32 of the Premier League season, finishing Nottingham Forest 0, Manchester United 2. Manchester United have won this evening's game in the Premier League. We're clinching top 4. We're clinching Champions League qualification. We're above Newcastle. We're above Spurs. We're now 21 points clear of Chelsea, massively clear of Liverpool and Fulham and Brighton and Brentford. And now that win for Man United puts us in a good step towards the rest of this week. Man United, for me, were the better team in this game. They did dominate the game. They went to Nottingham Forest knowing their aim was to come away with the 3 points. And obviously, that's what Man United have done this evening. I think the performance in the second half was absolutely brutal for Manchester United. Nottingham Forest simply couldn't cope with the pressure of being in a relegation battle. They also couldn't really cope with the pressure of Man United's press in the second half. And I felt like, in my opinion, Nottingham Forest were there for the taking. Man United really should have had a few more goals than what we did. It should have been more than 2-0 with the amount of chances Manchester United had on goal. But Man United have come away with the 2-0 win. We've got the win, we've got the 3 points, and we're closing in on top 4. Champions League qualification is nearly secure. And I think it's safe to say that this has been a good weekend so far for Man United fans. We've won the game, we didn't lose, we didn't draw, and we didn't drop any silly points that we needed to drop. And Man United are going to clinch top 4. We're going to be back in the Champions League next season. I think that's what's key to this win today, that, all the rivals around us this weekend haven't won. Arsenal bottled it against West Ham. Tottenham bottled it against Bournemouth, and Newcastle bottled it against Aston Villa. And I think Man United realised that there was a huge opportunity here to get clear of everybody else, get third place in the Premier League secured for now. And obviously now, I think, can we still win this Premier League title? It's a big, big ask with the squad we've got and the amount of injuries that are massively starting to mount up at Man United. I mean, the injury crisis this club's in at the moment is absolutely brutal. I mean, to lose players before kickoff was an absolute disaster waiting to happen to Manchester United. And if you look to that bench today, where was the quality in those second half substitutes? I mean, the only players we could basically bring on was Fred and Wout Weghorst, and basically that is all Ten Hag trusted off that bench. And you really couldn't blame Ten Hag for making the subs in the end, because he realised that the amount of players he's got out injured is costing him. And I do feel sorry for Erik Ten Hag having to go with a very injured, depleted squad. I mean, if you look at the players we've got out now, we've basically nearly got 10 players out injured. And I think, the injuries are going to cost Man United. And I think this is where things are going to start going downhill for Erik Ten Hag as Man United manager, because, we're playing 3 games in 6 days. It is a brutal schedule for Man United at the moment, and the injuries, the fatigue and the suspension are costing results. They are costing performances on the pitch, but I believe the players what went out today did put in a performance that we did deserve the win from. There's still a lot of improvement that are needed from some of those fringe players, and obviously some of those players today obviously have been given an opportunity now to be given a chance in a Man United shirt in the next few games due to the amount of injuries that Manchester United have got. I think the impact of Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof, I think today you saw the nightmare is Harry Maguire at centre-back. I mean, to get booked early on, only 3 minutes into the game, was completely and utterly naive from our captain. And I think that sums up Harry Maguire in a nutshell, that he simply isn't good enough as a centre-back. The amount of stick he gets is justified, and the performances are simply not in his level of what Ten Hag is looking for. And I felt like today that that defence was going to cost Man United severely. I think if Nottingham Forest had been a bit more clinical and they did have a few better players starting on the pitch today, I do feel like, in my opinion, Nottingham Forest would have come away from something today. But, United have walked away with a 2-0 win. We've got to be proud of the performance in the second half. Man United did dominate the game. And obviously, we've come away with the win. And I think that's the main thing, that we didn't drop points today, because I feel like, if we would have dropped points today, it would have been another backward step under Erik ten Hag. And I feel like, the confidence was obviously low after not beating Sevilla in midweek. But, the Premier League win this weekend is probably going to put the players in a good shape of form heading into the Europa League second leg next Thursday against Sevilla. And, hopefully we can get through to the semi-finals of that cup competition, hopefully win a European trophy this season. But obviously the focus today is on this Premier League result. At least we've not bottled it against Nottingham Forest. And I feel like, Nottingham Forest, I still think are going to be fine. I can't see them getting relegated. I can't see them going down this season. I think Nottingham Forest have got enough quality in that squad to get them out of trouble. I feel like Nottingham Forest, like I said, if they had better players on the ball and they had a better manager, maybe Nottingham Forest might have beaten Man United today. But I think, Erik ten Hag's men went with a task to achieve the 3 points today, because anything more than 3 points would have been an absolute disaster and car crash of a weekend from Man United fans' perspective. And I think the fans were absolutely brilliant at the City Ground this evening. The atmosphere, the confidence, the songs and the chanting going on, that is what unity brings at Manchester United. We are the best fans in the world. We are the best supported club in the world. And the fans were right behind Erik ten Hag's men today. And they did deliver a result that I think, we could be proud of. There was a lot of positive impacts up front. There was a lot of positivities in that midfield. But I still feel like the defence and David De Gea's, ability to distribute the ball is still going to be massively questioned from that game today. Obviously, I still think, in my opinion, we don't keep hold of the ball enough. We try and do too many ambitious things that we aren't capable of. And I feel like, if Man United's passing ability today and the amount of chances we had on goal could have been converted into goals, this result would have been a lot more heavy, a lot more emphatic. And I think Nottingham Forest would have been absolutely annihilated today if Man United had the players to be able to do the job up front today. And I feel like, the standout men from that game today, I think you've got to look at that midfield. And I think personally, you've got to look at Antony as well. I feel like, Antony, Casemiro, Eriksen and Fernandes, obviously, I felt like, in my opinion, they were the best three players in that game today. The way they controlled the midfield, the way they dominated the ball, the way they just bring the game and the calmness and sophistication into that Man United midfield was second to none today. Obviously, Sabitzer was on the team sheet today, but unfortunately, yet again, has suffered an injury in training in the warm-up before the kick-off this evening. I think now that's Marcel Sabitzer out through injury as well. And obviously, that is another midfielder gone. And I think we all wish Marcel Sabitzer a speedy recovery from his injury. We cannot afford to keep losing any more players. We've already got an injury crisis it is at the moment. And I feel if that injury crisis gets worse, I don't see how a team is going to be fulfilled in Man United's next two games, because the more injuries that mount up, I think Ten Hag is going to be between a rock and a hard place what team to deploy in the first and second half. Because I think you saw today, and you saw that team sheet, you saw the bench, there was not a lot of impact that could have been made off the bench from today. And Ten Hag basically said, you know what, the lads that are starting the game today, you're going to have to go out and play the whole 90 minutes. I can't really risk you not getting injuries, and I can't really risk making subs with a lack of quality. I've got on that substitute bench, and that's not fair on a manager that Ten Hag has basically had to come in and do a job based on a squad that ain't good enough. It hasn't got a lot of quality to come off the bench from. And I felt like some of those players they knew were going to start that game due to the injuries we got. I think Sancho again today, it's shown that I don't understand what is going on with Jadon Sancho's game. I feel like, he had a few good opportunities early on. I mean, he had a chance with 3 minutes in to put the ball in the net and he didn't take it, obviously through a block through the Nottingham Forest centre-back. And I felt like if Sancho would have buried that goal today, maybe that outcome of Sancho's performance in the first and second half would have been a lot more positive, a lot more impactful. And I felt like, is Jadon Sancho's time up in the Man United shirt? I think only time will tell, because I think I've started to realise now that is Sancho really the player that I think is going to get the best out in a Man United shirt? I'm massively unsure where his future lies in the Man United team, because I just don't see any impact. I don't see any talent, and I don't see any skill in a player that I had massive faith in when we signed him. I celebrated that mad when we got him, and I was ecstatic he was finally a Man United player. But I feel like in the last few games again, Sancho's quality isn't there. He tries and takes on too many players and loses the ball. He then loses possession, and then Man United are on the back foot. And I felt like today it showed in several occasions of this game that Sancho's quality and his confidence seems to be rock on the floor again. And I don't understand why when he was doing his own personal individual programme in Holland and the Netherlands, and then comes back in a Man United shirt and simply hasn't delivered the impact I think, Erik ten Hag would have wanted today. I felt like, if this game was 0-0 at half-time, I feel like Nottingham Forest would have had nothing to lose. There had been a draw at half-time, and I felt like, Nottingham Forest probably could have gone on and snatched the game. But obviously, finding the goal in the first half was a pivotal point for Man United to get in the second half, get in that dressing room and find that winning goal to clinch the game. And I feel like today we were able to do that at times of the game, that we did dominate the game. But I felt like in the second half, Nottingham Forest did change it up. They did change their formation. They did make a few tactical substitutions. And Nottingham Forest did come up Man United in the second half. And I felt like, again, it turned into the severe second half performance first in the Europa League quarterfinals first leg. I felt like, we paid too much respect to Nottingham Forest and we let Nottingham Forest attack us. And I think that has got to be stopped, in my opinion. And I think Man United have really got to go on and start finishing the job off in the first and second half. And I feel like we're still not scoring enough goals to my liking, that we're comfortable enough. I felt like, winning 1-0 at half-time through Anthony was, crucial to get the confidence up and get the positivity up that, we're in the lead of the game. We've gone into half-time 1-up, and that was important to, get that lead. And I felt like in the second half, Man United in the end deserved to get what they got. I felt like in the second half, Nottingham Forest did tire. And I do feel like, Nottingham Forest have got some good players. I just don't think, Steve Cooper is getting the best out of those Nottingham Forest players. And I do feel like also, in my opinion, that if you would have had better players, I feel like, Nottingham Forest probably would have taken the game to Man United today. And this could have probably have ended up in a Nottingham Forest win or even a draw for Manchester United. And I felt like if that would have happened today, it would have been a massive dent to secure top four. It would have been a massive dent to secure Champions League football. And I feel like, we've got the job done at the end of the day. There's nothing much we can complain about. I just worry that you look at that team and you look at the amount of injuries this team's got. Can this team go to end of May? Well, categorically, no, this team can't go till May with the squad we've got left. And I think if the injuries keep on mounting up, I feel like Man United are not going to be able to fill a team in the next few games. And that's a big, big worry, because the more injuries we get, the more reliance we are then going to have to be on bringing some of the academy players away to European teams and away in Premier League games, especially at home as well, to try and fulfill a team, because that bench did not have a lot of quality on it today. I think you had Zidane Iqbal, you had Guado, the Spanish player, you had Weghorst, you had Fred, you had Alang, you had Jack Butland, you had Bishop, the goalkeeper as well. There's so many players on that bench, I think Ten Hag has basically had the nail hit on the head that after today, that team is going to be crying out for summer recruitments in the summer transfer window of this year in 2023. And I felt like, if you'd have been delivered the quality players that he wanted last year in 2022 in that summer transfer window, and he would have been backed in January of this year in 2023, this team would have been looking a lot more different and a lot more positive had players been delivered and the signings the manager want, because I feel like those players he would have got would have probably been able to give Man United the result and a bit more emphatic performances on and off the pitch. And Mr. Savage is in the chat as well. He's one of our new subscribers on the channel community. Go and check his channel out. His content and his videos are absolutely amazing. Obviously, massive shout out to him in the live chat. So yeah, Man United in the end, we're getting by with what we got. Can we keep getting by every week? Categorically, the answer again is no, because those players are probably going to have to play so much football in the next few weeks due to the amount of injuries this football club has got. I mean, I've never known such an injury crisis like this in all my lifetime. I've never seen Man United suffer so many injuries in their lifetime. I've never seen this football club have the amount of players we've got out now to what we had out a few weeks ago. I think we only had Eriksen, Garnacho and Casemiro out. And you look at that team now, it's Marcus Rashford, it's Luke Shaw, it's Malacia, it's Varane, it's Martinez, it's Garnacho, it's Donny van der Beek. And the list is going on at Man United. And I think, losing 8 or 9, 10 players, even Sabitzer as well. I could not believe, when Sabitzer pulled up Trent, I thought to myself, Eriksen has had to be drafted into the last minute of the team sheet to be getting on that pitch and delivering what is needed in that Man United midfield. And I think, he did a very, very good job, Dave, because, Sabitzer was confirmed to start, but pulling up through injury, that is due to the amount of football Marcel Sabitzer is basically having to play today. And it's not his fault. He's come into a team that he's deserved to be in. He's delivered man of the match performances in the last few games in a Man United shirt, in my opinion. I feel like, he's probably been the January standout signing of the January transfer window. Sabitzer's come and done a job for this football club that, no one expected him to do. And I don't think even me, I expected Man United to go anywhere near a midfield like Sabitzer's quality. And I think the time and the energy has taken a toll on Sabitzer and playing up through whatever injuries picked up today, which I didn't know, because as soon as the game kicked off, I thought to myself, there's somebody missing in his team. And I looked at midfield and I thought Eriksen starting over Sabitzer when Eriksen was meant to be on the bench. And obviously, whatever Sabitzer's felt in training and the warm-up today has obviously recurred into an injury. And I think, how many more injuries can this club cope with Premier League, Europa League and FA Cup semi-final to come? It's unsure where this squad's health is at. It's unsure where this squad's fitness is at as well, because they are playing so much football. And I feel like, the Premier League, the FA and the Football League, especially UEFA and FIFA as well, have got a massive responsibility to have a duty of care to football clubs, players, fitness and their health. And I feel like playing 3 games in 6 days is absolutely ludicrous. It's an absolute disgrace from the FA and the Premier League to keep letting this happen to teams that are suffering some immense injuries due to the amount of football that these teams are having to play. And I feel like, it's massively unfair on Erik ten Hag. He's having to go again with basically the same squad for nearly 2 or 3 games in a row. And I don't think, in my opinion, that's very fair, because we're having to do so much at the moment. We're having to play so much football. We're having to deliver results that, the expectation at Man United is to keep winning. And we've got to keep winning now. There's no more chances for slip-ups. There's no more chances that Man United need to keep throwing away. We simply have to keep on winning now. And I think, that is my point exactly, that, we have to keep going with what we got. It's not an excuse. The injuries are not an excuse, but I feel like the team at the moment, that team will end up tiring out. And I think, the more injuries this get, the more crisis Man United are going to be. And I think Ten Hag is going to have a hard, long look at this team in the next few weeks and in training. And he's going to have to be careful, like, what players he selects on Sevilla on Thursday evening. And he's going to have to be careful what players he goes with in the FA Cup semi-final against Brighton, because some of these players that have played today are going to have to play on Thursday, because the players that we want available and we need available simply aren't there. And I do wonder how much more, expectation can be put on Man United with the amount of games we're having to face. Obviously, we do need to keep winning the league. We need to be back in the Champions League. We can't keep affording to be back in the Europa League every 2 or 3 seasons. And we don't want the embarrassment of having to be facing any way for Europa Conference League. We can't have that to be dealt with. We don't want that to happen, and that cannot afford to happen. We have to keep, going and going in the next few games. We have to keep the momentum up. We have to keep the form up, and we have to start putting the ball in the back of the net. And I felt like at times in that game again today, I looked at that strike force, I looked at that left wing, and I looked at Marcel up front, and I felt like today, yet again, there is huge opportunities being given to players like Anthony Martial and Jadon Sancho, and they're simply not delivering in the Man United shirt. And if the rumours are true that, Anthony Martial, who's been injury prone for a very, very long time at Man United, is going to be kept again next season as a backup option, for me, that has got to not happen. We can't afford to keep Martial next season. He's been done at this club for the last few years. And again today, he isn't delivering the goals that Erik ten Hag is looking for. He's very inconsistent up front, and his injury record is atrocious. And I felt like today there was an opportunity for a player to, be the replacement for Marcus Rashford, and it simply isn't the answer I think this football club was looking for. And I feel like, certain trust in some of these players is gone. I feel like some of these players' time is up at this football club, and it showed it in moments of that game today that there are some standards at Man United that are not being met by some of those players. I felt like, we're trying to be at times massively, massively ambitious with the type of balls and the type of passing we're trying to do. And I do feel like we get enough shots on goal. We just don't seem to be able to convert our conversion rate into the green. And I felt like, again today, I feel like that is going to cost us this season, the next few games, because we simply don't have the players to be able to do the job for Ten Hag. And, yet again, that is on the board. That's on the owners of this football club. Not enough is being done by this fan base. Not enough is being done by Man United supporters to force the Glazers out of Man United. Really, we should be protesting evening, day and night. We really should be protesting every single day for change. There needs to be game abandonments. There needs to be postponements. We need to storm Old Trafford again. We need to get inside Old Trafford. This fan base and supporters need to do more. If fans are serious about change and wanting the Glazers gone, we really should be protesting morning, day and night, every single day, every single minute, every single hour, every single second. We need to be putting a bit more pressure on. We want new owners, we want change at this club, and we want the Glazers to be gone. And if you look at it from a bigger point of view and you look at that squad from today, half those players are Glazer signings. And then when you see early on that, David De Gea seems to be struggling and limping, the fears for me only get a lot worse that if David De Gea picks up an injury, we are then stuck with apparently then Jack Butland off the bench. Jack Butland, no disrespect to him, he's not played football for nearly 3 fucking years. And yet again, that is a board and owner signing just to get by till the end of this current season for Manchester United. And for me, if Jack Butland was to have gone in goal today, I do feel like, in my opinion, he wouldn't have been able to make the clearances that David De Gea can make from under his goal. And I feel like today, if Jack Butland would have seen a game, would he have been able to have kept the clean sheet? Would have been able to, keep up the momentum David De Gea has been showing in the Man United shirt? And, can Jack Butland realistically do what David De Gea can do? Theoretically, in my opinion, no. He's not a Man United signing. This is basically just a signing to get by, to give Erik ten Hag a backup option as goalkeeper. And I don't feel like, if David De Gea wouldn't have been able to carry on today, I do fear, the clean sheet wouldn't have been kept. Goals would have gone past Jack Butland very easily because he's not played football for 3 years, and that would have shown very quickly on that there would have been naivety, the confidence would have been there because, he hasn't seen any proper Premier League action, like I said, for the last 3 years, and it would have taken a toll on him, Jack Butland, today if David De Gea would come off. But thank God, David De Gea was able to carry on. He was able to, get that injury off, and he was able to, walk it off and, stretch it out. And, that injury didn't become a lot more severe than what it was looking at, because as soon as he starts limping, you only start fearing the worst. And then you see that injury list just mounting up. And it could have got a lot worse though, but, thank God it didn't. Thank God, those players also came out unscathed, unhurt and uninjured, because any more injuries from today after that game would have probably been a nail in the coffin for the rest of the season. Personally, for me, I still think this season is over with the amount of players we've got out injured. I don't think personally we can recover from the mess this football club is in. I don't think we can recover from the mess this squad and this team is also in. And I don't think personally some of these players who've got out injured at the moment are going to be able to recover in time. And I felt like, there was rumours that Scott McTominay and Luke Shaw would have been fit today. Yet again, neither of them are available. Neither of them are available to play. And neither of them are in that squad. And you look to that bench and you're bringing players like Brandon Williams back in and other players that, aren't getting any game time under Ten Hag. And you think to yourself, Ten Hag really should not have to be picking some of those players off that bench. If these players aren't good enough, they really shouldn't be in the team. They shouldn't even be anywhere near a bench. They shouldn't even be anywhere near a Man United or even in the first team. But that is down to, again, that is the team we've got available. That is the players we've got currently. And I think that team that plays today is probably going to have to play against Sevilla on Thursday night. I think Ten Hag isn't going to be able to change much. He ain't going to be able to rotate much. And Ten Hag is going to have to basically think, you know what, he's going to have to nurse. He's going to have to manage that squad till Thursday, because the Sevilla game, like I said, is not going to be easy. Second leg with 2-2 on aggregate. The game could go either way, but Man United know the job is to go there and win, get through to Europa League semi-finals, because if you can beat Nottingham Forest, there's no excuses not to beat Sevilla on Thursday night. You've got the players to do it. You've got the quality to do it. And I feel like, the quality all of a sudden is starting to drift back in to Man United's performance. And I feel like some of those players are key to what the success is going to be for Man United this season. You look at that midfield, and I think for me, we've probably got the best midfield in the Premier League. I do think, Man United have got better quality midfielders than Arsenal. I do feel like we've got better quality midfielders than Man City and Liverpool and Chelsea and Tottenham and Newcastle. I feel like for me, that midfield today was absolutely dominant from minute one. The introduction of Eriksen was a genius tactic from Ten Hag, the genius. And I felt Eriksen did a job that, we have missed Eriksen. There's no excuses in the last few games that we have missed Eriksen's quality. But at the end of the day, he's been drafted in right at the last minute to replace the injured Marcel Sabitzer. And like I said about Sabitzer, you are hoping that injury is not severe, because we've already got, McTominay and Van der Beek available. If Sabitzer then becomes unavailable, because, we want to make that signing permanent this summer, but if injuries are going to keep ravaging him at this football club, is there any point in making that signing permanently? I still think we should. You can't sneeze at 18 million. I think for me, that is what he's worth. I think Bayern Munich would probably take that as a summer figure of a transfer fee to get Sabitzer in a Man United shirt permanently next summer. But, at the end of the day, Eriksen came in and he basically lit up that midfield. He reminds me when we had prime Juan Mata when we bought him from Chelsea. Mata was absolutely lighting up that Man United midfield, and it looked like such a great midfield addition when we signed Juan Mata. And Eriksen gives me those vibes that is what Eriksen can do in a Man United shirt. He's got control, he's got sophistication, and he's got the magic in those feet. He's unlucky not to score today, and the tactics out with Bruno for Bruno to have that wondrous shot that was saved magnificently by Keylor Navas. I mean, that was lucky that didn't go in, because that would have been a fantastic goal from Fernandes through the assist through Eriksen. That was lucky not to go in to make it 2-0. But that midfield is making that team a lot better than what it is at the moment. I feel like we're going to have to start telling these players we need full commitment, we need full fitness, we need full concentration, and we need you to be fit, we need you to be healthy, and you're going to have to keep yourself going in this team because they haven't got the options around them to be able to make a lot of rotation. You look at that team at the moment, is there a lot of quality in it? At the moment, you would say yeah, but logically at the moment, I would have to say no due to the players we've got unavailable. And I feel like, we do need Sabitzer back because the only midfield backup option you've then got is Fred, and I don't trust Fred long term to be able to do the job at Man United that is able to be required. And I felt like, as a whole, that we do need a lot better than Fred, and we do need a lot better than Mctominay as well. And I think, the longer some of these players are unavailable, the worse situation this squad could get in, because some of this squad are playing a lot of football. They are playing a lot of fucking minutes at the moment, and that is going to knacker our squad out. That is going to show that the fatigue will start setting in. Man United will head backwards. The injuries will mount up, and Ten Hag won't have a squad to pick from. And I think, this squad is going to have to be told, look, we've got what we here where we are today. We've got it because of what we've been doing. We're lucky to be in the position that we've got ourselves in at the moment. We're sat third in the Premier League. We're like 21 points clear of Chelsea. We are like how many more points clear of Liverpool at the moment? How many points are Man United clear as it currently stands in this Premier League table? We are, as it currently stands at the moment, we are 3 points clear of Newcastle. We are 6 clear of Spurs, 9 clear of Villa, 9 clear of Brighton, but also, no, we're 10 clear of Brighton actually. We are 15 clear of Liverpool, 16 clear of Brentford. We are 17 clear of Fulham, and we're actually 20 points clear of Chelsea. I mean, if you're looking at Premier League table, is it a false reading? Is it a false, moment of excellence? Or is it a great feeling of that, Man United are being able to achieve something that, we weren't able to achieve last season under the Wally managers we had? And I feel like, Ten Hag has come in and transformed this squad, and we have, we are overachieving that we want what we want to do. We are overachieving a lot at the moment. We are being able to do a job because thanks to this manager. I think, if we have had any other manager this season, I don't feel like we would have been in the position that we are in this evening. Winning away games against Nottingham Forest is obviously a tough place to go. Man United haven't been to the City Ground in the Premier League for God knows how many years. And I feel like, we did go there and we had the confidence, and we had the ability to be able to get the goals and to get the job done. And we did play some actually very, very good football. And I do agree with Gary Neville on some point that United in the second half were absolutely brilliant. We did take the game in the second half because we were able to do the job that, no one else expected to do. And I felt like, we did deserve the credentials, we did deserve the praise, and we did deserve the optimism that, we were able to play some good football at times. And I feel like, those players today were showing that when you've got a team of players that have got so much commitment and heart towards a Man United shirt, they're able to produce goals and results like that. And that's what you expect from Manchester United players, really. You expect that quality, you expect that type of result, and you expect the type of performances they put in both halves of the game. And I think, Man United did do that today. I do feel like a lot of that impact was probably off Anthony. I feel like, a lot of people don't like Anthony at Man United. A lot of fans, a lot of pundits, a lot of critics don't like Anthony's style of play. They don't like his commitment. They don't like his desire. They don't like his skill. They don't like his goals. They don't like his ability on and off the ball. And I feel like, he's delivered a massive piece of humble cake to a lot of people today, saying that Anthony ain't good enough. He's a flop. He's never going to be good enough at Manchester United. And I feel like, Anthony has suffered a lot of haters He suffered a lot of doubters this season, which I think is unjustified. I feel like for me, he's been a great addition to the Premier League. What he's done in a Man United shirt is second to that, and the goals he's scoring shows the type of player Ajax had, and he realised that, to play for Man United was a dream, and if he can keep doing that in a Man United shirt, teams should be worried about the impact that Antony is going to have for the rest of this Premier League season, because Antony is ripping it up in the Premier League. He's ripping it up in Europe. And I feel like, his commitment's there, his heart's there, because he has the love of the manager, he has the love of the football club, and he has the love of the fans and the supporters. And he also has the support of his teammates. You see the quality that Antony is delivering on that right wing. And, we didn't have that for nearly 5-6 years, in my opinion. We didn't have that crucial left-footed right winger for decades. And we were missing out severely last season, and it showed. We didn't get Champions League football. We ended up back in the bloody Europa League again. And we are lucky to be where we are today, because signing Antony was a must for Erik ten Hag. He's answering a lot of critics' points. He's answering a lot of doubters that, he couldn't do it in the Premier League. And I feel like, he is sitting down a lot of people at the moment with the type of player he is becoming. He's showing the quality he's also got. And he's showing he's being able to do a job that no one else expected him to do at Man United. For me, he's fully focused on the job. Antony offers a lot of excitement on that right wing. Whenever Antony gets the ball and he converts it onto his left foot and he cuts inside, that ball's going in the net. He's going to do something special with that ball at his feet. And he's the magician in that team that conducts the orchestra. And I felt like today was a massive, massive positivity on that right wing. The goal's probably going to do his confidence the world of good. He's showing that he can do it in the Premier League. He can show that he can do it on the world global stage. And I feel like, he's probably up there for one of my man of the match contenders as well, too, because I do feel like Antony is lighting up that Man United team. I feel like some people still want players like Weghorst and Alejandro in that team. They're simply not good enough. And this is why players like that have been left on the bench by Erik ten Hag, because they simply don't have the quality that is being able to be delivered in a Man United shirt. And when he's got Antony in there, we are a better team with Antony than without him. I think without Antony in that team, that first goal isn't possible. We're probably sat here a 0-0 finish, and we probably do not win that game today. And I think, Antony's heart was there to get onto the saved shot from Navas, from the Marcel shot inside the Nottingham Forest penalty area. He puts he puts the chance in, he goes to the ball and he puts the ball in the net. And that's what you have to do. You have to put the ball in the net at the end of the day. You have to show that you've got the desire to get to the ball and to put that and be hungry to score a goal in the Premier League. And I think that is why Antony was probably signed in the first place, because he's delivering the answers on that right wing that Man United didn't have in the last 2 seasons. I feel like, a lot of pundits are probably eating a lot of humble cake right now and being delivered a massive fucking L right in front of their own eyes, because they've been answered by a player that's got dynamite in those boots. He's got magic in his chemistry. His rating's incredible, and his desire and his heart rate is. He's there to do a job at Man United that ten Hag wants, and he's listening to the manager. He's taking everything on the side that ten Hag is saying to him, and I do feel like he's probably one of the players that I would put in Premier League team of the season. I would deliver Antony a Player of the Season award, because I feel like he has come to Man United and he's dominated this league. He is probably one of the best right wingers at the moment in that Premier League. I would put him on the pars of. He's probably better than Bukayo Saka. He's better than Mudryk. He's probably better than Enzo Fernandez. And he's probably a lot better than probably Salah, Jota, Luis Diaz. So, yeah, that's what I think Antony's doing. I think at the moment, Antony's got the job to be able to do it. I do feel like, in the end, Antony, is showing why he's in a Man United shirt. And I feel like also that, he is showing what he can do when he's got the ball at his feet. And that is what I like about a player. He's got that killer instinct. He's like a great white shark. As soon as he gets the ball, he knows he's going to go for goal. He's not afraid to shoot. He's not afraid to take a chance on goal. And he's not afraid to play a decent cross into the box. And we didn't have that last season. I felt like today that was a crucial part of that front three that made that front three a lot better than what it was. I feel like, Antony was probably the standout player from the whole 90 minutes, because you couldn't have taken him off, because the second goal to find Diogo Dalot, the brilliance of Antony to find that pass, the pass for that goal is genius. The way he just, cuts the ball and he swivels it with his left foot and it goes like that. And, he finds Dalot. Dalot to get the finish as well was purely fantastic. And I think Dalot, Wan-Bissaka, Maguire and Lindelof, De Gea, Sancho and Marcel. I feel like, and maybe Fred and Weghorst at times, they weren't the standouts. They were, again, they're woeful, they're dreadful as footballers. And, I felt like as a whole that those players alone, if they're kept at this club next season, I feel like, we are probably going to head down the same way it ended under Mourinho. It's going to end in Ten Hag being sacked because the players that aren't good enough are going to keep performing like this. And I felt like they didn't really make an impact on this result. I felt like they were probably the worries that had for me throughout the whole game, that you're still using players like Maguire and Lindelof who ain't good enough. Wan-Bissaka, again, ain't good enough. I can't understand why Gary Neville's saying that, Aaron Wan-Bissaka is improving as a footballer. He's shown what he can do in a Man United shirt. I completely and utterly disagree. I thought Wan-Bissaka was kind of woeful on the ball today. I felt like Dalot, the only decent thing he did was to get the second goal to actually win the game for Manchester United today. That, for me, was probably the only decent thing he did all game. I mean, Sancho, we've discussed Marcel, they're not the players that you want for the future. And I think, Weghorst is showing concerns that this player was brought in as an emergency because Man United have fucked up the January transfer window. They couldn't get anyone else. They used, like I said, financial fair play again to get away with not backing the manager. And yet again, that's not fair on Ten Hag. He wanted players to be able to be brought into his team to add, the pressure and the goals that team needed. And we don't have that at the moment without Marcus Rashford. And I feel like, we are missing Marcus Rashford severely in that game. And I think if Rashford was fit today, I don't think Sancho would have probably started. I feel like Sancho would probably have been put back on the bench again. I feel like, Rashford is a massive miss. And he's at 28 goals he's got this season have got Man United where they are, single-handedly down where we are today. I feel like, Rashford's probably been our best player on par with probably like Casemiro and Fernandes and Eriksen and Antony and probably Sabitzer. Marcus Rashford's probably up there for like 5 or 6 of those Man United players are absolutely decent, but the rest of them are just wallies that don't have any understanding of the game. They can't play Ten Hag ball, and they don't like it that some of those players are still getting criticised, which, is just right in there because fans and supporters are allowed views. They are allowed opinions. And like I said, on this channel, everyone's views and opinions are always going to be respected. And, that's what I like about this community. That, everything about Man United, views and opinions will always be respected. And, I want everyone to become part of this channel. So please subscribe if you're new, by the way. So, yeah, those players at the end of the day have basically, for me to have gotten away with a result that was probably more likely than not. There was a lot of nerves from me today because I looked at the squad and I looked at the injuries we had and I thought to myself, how are we going to be able to deliver what we're going to be able to need today? How are we going to be able to get the goals? But we somehow managed to, we managed to get over the line, but only just. We should have finished the job off in the first half due to the amount of chances we had on goal. I mean, if we'd have put those chances away, the conversion rate would have been in the green. We'd have had more goals. The lead would have been more substantial. And, Nottingham Forest probably are going to feel aggrieved by some of the decisions. They probably, are facing majorly relegation again. But, I feel like, Nottingham Forest are going to get out of this. I don't fear for you Nottingham Forest fans. I feel like, you've got the team and the players to be able to do it. And I think for me, you've been a great addition to the Premier League. You do get a lot of unfair criticism that you don't deserve. And I do feel like, Steve Cooper is managing to do a job with the players he's got. And that's basically, I think, what Ten Hag's having to do as well. He's having to be delivering results with a type of players he's got in that team. And, that's not the manager's fault. That is down to, not being backed by the board and those at both football clubs. And I have a lot of sympathy with Nottingham Forest because, you've got players at that club that really shouldn't be there. And I feel like some of those players that are on the bench today really should be getting in a Nottingham Forest team. But I think you'll be fine. I think you'll find results. I think you'll stay up this season. And you did go for it in the second half. You didn't just sit back and let Man United attack you. You did go for it in the second half. You did have chances on goal. But, your strike force wasn't there. Your midfield, it was so open more than, And then your attack really and your defence were probably the most vulnerable positions in that team. And I felt like, if Nottingham Forest would have done better, this probably is sat as a Nottingham Forest win because, they have got a team, they've got history, they have won Champions League trophies, they've won European Cups, and Steve Cooper's doing a good job, and he did try to go head-to-toe with Ten Hag and Man United, but he simply doesn't have the tactical awareness I think Ten Hag does because Ten Hag has deep analysis, deep insight of tactics and knowledge that he's being able to get something at the current Man United team he's got, and, that team does need improving. A lot of money does need spending. Some fans tell me that 600 million being spent in this summer transfer in 2023 is unjustified. It's not logical. For me, I completely and utterly disagree. I do think, in my opinion, I look at that team today, I look at those players, I look at that squad, and I look at the future. That team realistically does need to spend at least 600 million net needs to be spent in the summer transfer window. We do need at least 8 to 9, 10 new players. We need 2 strikers. We need 2 midfielders. We need 2 centre-backs. We need another winger. We need a backup goalkeeper. We need two brand new right-backs. I would even say a left-back. So realistically, I think Man United are going to have to walk into that summer transfer window and they're going to have to spend big and heavily on several key targets that they want. I think really they need, in my opinion, I would sign 11 brand new players and add them into that current team we've got, because that team will become better with 11 brand new world-class players to add in to the mould to today to make that Man United performance against teams like Nottingham Forest even more emphatic on the pitch. And, you know, fans tell me that's not realistically. I disagree. 600 million is realistic. It is doable because clubs like Chelsea can do it under rich owners like Todd Bowley. So there's no excuses for Man United not to spend heavily in the summer transfer window. All those players and all those positions I said are doable. You can sign 11 players in one transfer window. And I think Man United have got the firepower to do it. But if we have to look out for 1-2 stand-up players from that game today that made that victory possible, it is Bruno Fernandes and his Antony. I mean, the maestros in both of their performances today. Bruno Fernandes is the magician in that midfield. He is the leader. He is the captain. He's the role model. He's the hero. He's the inspiration in that team. And he's delivering results in the Man United shirt in the midfield that we simply don't have. For me, he's better than Paul Scholes. He's better than Michael Carrick. He's better than McTominay. He's better than Fred. And for me, he's up there for one of the Premier League greatest all-time midfielders ever. For me, he controlled the game. He made things happen. He made things click. Bruno Fernandes does Bruno Fernandes things that no one else could do in that midfield. And he gives out the rules. He gives out the respect. He gives out what players deserve. He does criticise, and he's got the right to do it, because that is what you get from a role model. That is what you get from a leader. That is what you get from a player as a whole. That, you know, Bruno Fernandes is making that midfield the midfielder is today. He's delivering in a Man United shirt heavily, and he was absolutely superb from start to finish. Fernandes was just having such a massive impact on that game as a whole. He was dominating that midfield of Eriksen and Casemiro. Bruno Fernandes is just the absolute maestro I expected him to become, because he is lighting up that midfield. Without Bruno Fernandes, that win, that game, that 3 points, that result today is not doable. Without Bruno Fernandes, that team, we are nowhere near the team we are. We are so much better with him in that team than not. And a lot of people on the United stand, like Ricky said, you know, McTominay is better than Bruno Fernandes. I would have McTominay over Bruno Fernandes all day. Completely and utterly disagree with Ricky from the United stand. I respect his views. I respect his opinions. But at the end of the day, it's an absolute ludicrous view that he thinks Scott McTominay is way better midfielder than Bruno Fernandes. McTominay's not even going to be here in the summer, mate. So I do feel like we do need to wake up in this fan base and realise that some of the players that we back aren't good enough, and some of the players we don't give enough praise to actually do deserve it, because Fernandes was just, in that game, he was an absolute monster. He was an absolute beast. He was an absolute great white shark. He was absolutely onto every ball, every tackle, every pass, every chance. Fernandes was just all over that pitch today. He was all over that game. He was just, you know, he had it in him to do it today. And the other man of the match, in my opinion, goes to Antony. Antony and Fernandes are the two standouts on that game. They both get my man of the match award by an absolute mile. The two massive standout star players in that team today, through the Antony goal, through the midfield maestro masterclass from Bruno Fernandes. I mean, bloody hell. With those two in that team, Man United can do serious damage the rest of the season. They've both got the quality, they've got the skills, they've got the goals in them, and they've got the quality that are delivering in a Man United shirt. You take Bruno Fernandes and Antony out of that team, Man United are nowhere near top four. We're nowhere near Champions League qualification. We're not in the FA Cup semi-finals for a reason without those two. We're not in Europa League quarterfinals for a reason without those two. Those two all season probably are up there with Rashford and Casemiro as probably the most four spectacular standout players all fucking season. And if you had to give 5 players player of the season at Man United, it would be Marcus Rashford, Marcel Sabitzer, Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes, Antony and Eriksen. For me, they've been the best 6 players all season, and probably Martinez at times as well. You could say 7 of those players are probably the most standout players all day, but today Fernandes and Anthony were just on a completely and utter brilliant level. They were just up there thinking, bloody hell, do you know what? We need to win. We need to get someone out of this game, so we cannot afford to chop this game, or we can't afford, run away with points that we can't throw, or we need to beat Nottingham Forest. We can't settle for a draw. We can't settle for a point. We need to get top 4. We need Champions League qualification. We need to get up to 3rd because, Newcastle have bottled it this weekend. So have Arsenal, so have Spurs, and so have Chelsea. And I'm sat there laughing at every single one of you because you're all bottle jobs clubs. You're all throwing your seasons away, and Man United are pouncing on you like a cat chasing the pigeon. And we deserve it today. And you know what? I'm glad we won. I'm glad we got the 3 points. And I'm glad Man United are where they are today. We're up to the 3rd in the Premier League. Champions League qualifications now secure. Everyone around us this weekend failed miserably, are an absolute embarrassment to the Premier League this season. Let's all laugh at Spurs and Newcastle and Chelsea and Arsenal for the bottle jobs performances they put in this weekend's games. So I hope you enjoyed the reaction. Hit the like button, share button. Please subscribe to the channel, United Red Devils 20 on YouTube if you're new to the channel and the community. Share the video, hit the tweet button, hit that retweet button as well. Remember to always put that notification bell at all times as well, so you'll receive dedicated brand new content right throughout the rest of 2023 on the United Red Devils 20 on YouTube. We've got more Fortnite content coming, Hogwarts Legacy, Kingdom Hearts 4, the new Formula 1 23 game, more FIFA 23 career modes with LAFC in America, Salford City and Manchester United. We've got more previews, more match reaction. We're doing a new Disney racing game as well. And we've got loads more brand new games coming for the rest of this year. So please keep subscribing to the channel and hit that like button as well, and tell all your friends, school friends, college friends, brothers, sisters, nephews, parents about this channel. Get them to subscribe, become part of this channel today. You're all amazing people. You're all legendary. And obviously, please join me for the Europa League preview tomorrow afternoon for the second leg between Sevilla and Man United. That preview is tomorrow afternoon on Monday, the 17th of April, 2023. Join me for that preview for the second leg quarterfinal preview between Man United and Sevilla away in Spain on Thursday night. Hopefully we get through to the Europa League semi-finals. Hopefully we can go away to Spain and knock out another Spanish club out of the Europa League this season. Hopefully we can make it, back-to-back wins in all competitions. Obviously we've gone 4 games unbeaten out, which is really good. We're picking up points. We're picking up important wins. We're delivering results under Ten Hag. And, he's been our best manager since Alex Ferguson, in my opinion. He's delivering what Man United... We have got an injury crisis. There's no excuse to that. We have got a massive injury crisis at Man United, but we're not going to let us get us down. We're not going to let that beat us. We've won the game today. We've beat Nottingham Forest 2-0. Go and enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. Go and enjoy the rest of your weekend as well, whatever you're all doing right now. Remember to stay safe, be nice, be kind to each other. You're all legends. You're all legendary in your own way. Remember that. Remember, dream, achieve, believe, and I'll speak to you guys Monday afternoon. Thanks for watching. Come on, United. Come on, you Reds. Nottingham Forest 0, Manchester United 2. Thanks for watching.